Now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! 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 The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
Hey there, hi there, ho there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. It is time for another non-wrestling edition of The Dads, not always on wrestling, as this month is all non-wrestling.
Oh, yes.
And we got a doozy in store for you today. Today we are kicking off the first in our three-part series of the top 10 Disney songs of all time. Now, the Disney song library is so massive. We have chopped this up into three eras. Today we're going to be covering songs from 1928 to 1970, essentially the Walt era. Walt passed away December 66. Jungle Book was officially the last thing he worked on, but he did have his hands in the cookie jar of a couple other projects that came after. So collectively, this is kind of the Walt era. Next week, we'll do from 1971 to the year 2000, essentially the Dark Ages and the Renaissance. And then from 2001 to 2022 today, all the way up to Strange World, which just recently came out. Everything will be covered through there. So, three different eras. Myself, of course, the Renegade J.J. Williams, the West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham, and a special guest today, my lovely lady, Cici. Hello, sweetheart. Thank you for joining us today.
I'm glad to be here, and especially covering this particular era, which is so dear to my heart.
All of us, right?
Yes. I mean, all of the eras of Disney, we're all Disney babies.
Yes, we are.
You know, as they say in the Mickey trailer that you forced me to show before all of the broadcasts, Jeff, if there's one constant in everybody's life, it doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, white, black, Hispanic, upper class, middle class, poor, Mickey Mouse has been there for us all.
Yes.
So Disney and their songs and the mouse specific kind of been there for all of us.
Yes, exactly.
Going all the way back to Steamboat Willie, the first sound cartoon, through Aristocrats is 1970. That's essentially like the last thing we're going to be able to cover in this episode.
Yes.
And everything is pretty much fair game. TV shows, silly symphonies, animated movies, live action movies. The only thing that is not available for discussion are things that are found, or I should say, were created specifically for the theme parks.
Right.
It's a small world after all. The Enchanted Tiki Room. Things along this line. There's a great big beautiful tomorrow. Stuff like that. Not eligible for discussion. But as I explained to Jeff, a song like Feed the Birds from Mary Poppins, which you can hear a gorgeous piano rendition of inside of Club 33. Technically, that's up for discussion because Feed the Birds was in Mary Poppins first.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
And there is a reason that's in Club 33, which, spoiler, you're going to hear in a few minutes.
There's a little bit of gray area there, but not much gray area. So,
right. Yes.
Jeff, go ahead, kick us off. Let's see what your top 10 Disney songs are from 1928 through 1970.
Yeah, JJ had to really rein me in on this one because we all know that my Disney fandom really started because of Disneyland. So he had to crack that whip throughout this year once we first pitched this. And when we first pitched this, I wasn't a cast member. So hearing the music on the regular now, I'm going, mucker father, now I really got to narrow this down. It's been a bitch. It's been a bitch today doing it. Oh, Lord. Okay. So what I did essentially was I kind of divided my list into two different areas. The first four are strictly pure favorites because I just like the songs, I like the movies, whatever you want to call it. The other six I put up there because they had an importance in the existence of the brand, the company, whatever you want to call it. So that's why they are where they are.
Okay.
And number 10, let's just get him out of the way because he's sitting here in plain sight. There you go. Now, this song was not created for this movie, if I understand properly, because it was a written piece prior to 1940. However, its use in Fantasia in the Sorcerer's Apprentice section in 1940 changed this little guy's life, along with Walt's life and the company's movie life. And I say that because Fantasia was a major undertaking by the company, even 3 years into them making full-length animated features. And I've made no secret in the last years of my podcasting career that bullshit. We just passed 20. I'm gonna own my age at this point. We celebrated on the air and everything last month, so whatever. I fell in love with Sorcerer Mickey after seeing Fantasmic, and I love this segment of Fantasia, and that's about it with Fantasia. It's a long is what it is movie. Just the only one I can give a pass to, we talked about this on our walk around the park the other day, was Night on Bald Mountain, because of Chernabog and the fact that he, in and of itself, is the true villain of that entire movie. So he kind of stands out compared to the other nonsensical hour of movie that is. Beautiful music. I'm not gonna, shit on it, but it is what it is. But Sorcerer Mickey, of course, is my favorite, and even him at the bottom of the list still has a major impact on the company figure. He is the symbol of WDI to this day. Walt Disney Imagineering for the. Sorry, I need to speak a non-lay. I apologize. Walt Disney Imagineering to this day. He doesn't look like this anymore on the logo, which I bitched the company about. They don't listen to me, but whatever. But I love the track. The track's cool. It's got, if you know Sorcerer Mickey, you know the track. It sticks in your head like Small World, only not as annoying or keep you up at night long. It's even on the ornament of the Fantasia ornament. Dun, 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 dun. It's wonderful. Can't use it for copyright purposes. We may do a edit where we lay these in later, just because I know you guys like the songs too. So anyway, number 10, because it's a personal favorite, and I just had to have it on here.
There you go.
Much like number 9. Now, JJ, more than Cici, is very familiar with the movie from number 9, because much to his chagrin, the DVD did not stay hidden for very long once we moved into his apartment. And yeah, so every day, multiple times a day, the movie that this song came from, You Can Fly, You Can Fly, You Can Fly, 1953, was played on the regular in our house. And what was that movie, Uncle Jay?
Peepan!
Peepan! That's right, Peepan. I mean, that entire scene is just awesome.
He flew.
Get out of my head. Seriously, it's the first thing I think of when I think of that.
He can fly. He flew.
Seriously, every time I see anything fly like across my house or my place, he flew, and people look at me like, what the hell? It's like, you don't understand. Don't mock my Disney geek. Leave me alone. But You Can Fly, You Can Fly, You Can Fly is just really the big jump off point for Peter Pan, the movie. And it's such a cute little number, and everybody's involved. Nanda's losing her mind watching them fly out. You got the kids going all over the place. You got Tinkerbell being her jealous little bitch self. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful thing. I love the song. Just good stuff.
Speaking maybe a little out of turn, since I did the graphic work for Cici's picks, I can honestly tell you this is not the last time Peter Pan will show up on the list.
Yes.
And sweetheart, what did I tell you when I talked
I
to you about
I know. You said he was going to tell the story.
I wasn't 100% sure you would have something from it on your list, but I knew that once you saw it on one of our lists, you would tell the story about Dylan could not go to bed without watching that every night. I tried to tell him I did not own that movie, and you called me out on my bullshit saying, yeah, you do. It's right there. And I gave you the death stare like, MF, if you ever plan on breaking him of this mess, you just effed up.
That was like day 2, for real. We had WrestleMania, and then the second day, that was it. That was it.
But yeah, that, and then the whole Peepan! I knew this was going to come up at some point. Good to get it out of the way now. That way we don't have to rehash it later.
We went to the park last year, ran into Peter walking through the park, and he still says Peter Pan because he knows you and I are such idiots for it.
It's gotten to be like the tra la 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 la. Like he does not speak that way anymore because of his age, but
Right.
he will still revert back to it because he knows that it'll just get us giggling like schoolgirls at a sleepover for real.
Jay, I'm not going to lie. I walked on stage back on the 12th of this month, a month ago today. And for the first time since we did Holiday Layover, I heard that part and I just started chuckling to my damn self. Oh God. I'm so glad she's not coming this year because I would ruin her shit. Anyway, okay. I need to apologize to Cici in advance for this next one. And I say that because the last time she was in the green room or on screen with us, my selection on the list made her cry and upset both of you to the point that F.U. Meacham was almost a shirt for real.
It still needs
This
to
one's
be.
gonna make us all cry. So let me throw the graphic up real quick. It's from 1941. It is what it is. Okay, Baby Mine from Dumbo. All right. We's all parents now.
Yeah.
So this shit hits deeper than it did when we was kids.
Yeah.
Like for real. But it is so much the true story of this movie. More so than Dumbo realizing he's more than just the clown. More so than Timothy encouraging him to come out of that peanut shell and be who he can be. This song, in the point it's at in the movie, if I did have a soul as my redhead damn self, it would destroy it anyway. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's from the point that she's chained up and removed from the tent as the protective mother to this point. You get it, but you don't really understand the depth and the magnitude of what has happened. This shit catches you up to speed. And it's awful. And it's just heartbreaking.
And like you said, it wrecks you even more once you become a parent.
Yes.
Right? Seriously.
Because the thought of being separated from your child because of something that is essentially out of your control.
Right.
Yeah. You were trying to do right by your kid and protect them from harm. And not only did they take you away from that child, but the child is still able to touch, just not see you, and vice versa. It'd be one thing if Dumbo couldn't touch Mrs. Jumbo, but they can actually have tactile contact. They just can't see each other face to face. That is the wreck of this scene.
It is.
And it's awful, and I'm sorry. That's why I did it early. Damn. All right, so we've run the gamut now. We've done from my favorite to the cute with the kid to the, oh my God, emotional wreck with the kid. This is the last of the favorites.
Okay.
Now, and we're at number 7 for those of you unable to keep score at home because Jeff can't count code. We established that during the Wrestling Trivia Challenge.
Right, buy that T-shirt.
Buy that T-shirt on Greg's. I think his spring store still open. Don't quote me. Don't know. We're filming on a Friday night. I don't really give a shit right now. It is what it is. This one is a favorite because of the character singing it and because of her status in my Disney fandom. And just because being part of cast, being part of this with you guys, being a part of everything I've done in my adult life that's made me money or brought me joy has been a dream that it was a wish that my heart made. And I can't believe when I saw that freaking Cinderella is 72 years old this year.
Yes.
I had a moment when I saw that year. I was like, Jesus Christ. Because I was thinking of her as later, but no, she was like, what, second princess? Third?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, second. Yeah.
Snow,
by the way,
Cindy, Aurora.
Yeah. By the way, honorable mention was Once Upon a Dream, because that song is just beautiful. But I figured one of y'all might be covering that one, so I would let it be.
With Princess Minnie kind of thrown in the middle there from that Mickey Mouse short.
That's accurate. That's fair. But everybody that's watched me since I became a public entity in 2002 knows of my love for Cinderella. So Not going to go
Yes.
down the rabbit hole.
Unfortunately.
You know what? Just because
Hey,
the
I will.
company. Hey,
No,
I got
that-
this, Cici. I got this. I will defend my girl. Just because the company decided to make her dress just blue enough that Aurora got her shit taken away, that's not Cindy's fault. Just saying. All right, we're good. And Teresa, if you're watching, you heard me. Damn you. All right, now I pissed everybody off, made everybody sad, or whatever. Let's just go ahead and get to this shit. Okay. So, this first one that's on the list because it's important to the brand is at number 6 is a song that originally debuted on the Disneyland show before it was a Disneyland park. And it spun off the song and the character into what the company calls a mini-series within the Disneyland TV show. And to this day, you can hear it if you're walking along the rivers of America or you're in a canoe or a raft heading over to Tom Sawyer Island, because it is the Ballad of Davy Crockett.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I did completely bogart the logo and change it up my damn self because I can, because they can fire me if they want for it, but I'm giving them preps for a show that hasn't been on the air in freaking 50 years, so whatever. It's not on Disney Plus either, company. Looking at you, Disney Plus. Put that shit up.
Right?
Seriously.
There's a lot of stuff that's still not on Disney Plus. That's a whole other show.
Oh,
Top 10 things that aren't on Disney Plus yet.
Number 1 will never be on the damn streaming service, but that was a discussion when we went to the park, and we'll leave that one where it lay.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
I ain't about to get fired this month. I'm all doing my probation, God damn it. For real, I'm not the way to get out of this shit. Okay. So the Ballad of Davy Crockett, again, it was one of those Walt had done films. He'd done the Silly Symphonies, he'd done shorts, but television was kind of a new or a different avenue. And the Disneyland show, which of course was designed to promote Disneyland's upcoming arrival, kind of spun off a lot of different things. And Davy Crockett was really the first one that really got into the pop culture, so much so that as important a figure as Davy Crockett was in history, yes, he is a real person. Read your history books, go to school, learn friggin' something. Davy Crockett, the character, almost became like more important, which is kind of a sad commentary on our pop culture, but also the power of the Disney brand.
Yeah.
So, and the Ballad of Davy Crockett was very much okay, we're going to tell this guy's story in 2 minutes or whatever it is. So,
now, I have to break your balls just a little bit, Meacham.
Uh-oh.
Is this song really on the list because of its importance to the company and to Disneyland itself? Or is it on your list because it plays in the background when Marty McFly lands in 1955? And we all know that's one of your favorite movies of all time.
A little bit
and
of
young
column-
Jason Hervey wearing a coonskin cap at the dinner table.
So I will say it's mostly column A, but I'd be lying if column B wasn't included in the list.
Okay. Let's be real here, Meach.
I only don't mention it because I just don't like Jason Hervey very much, for being honest.
Yeah. Everybody's waiting for the man with the bag who's going to come in a couple weeks. If you lie on the air, he may just bring you some coal.
I am lying with a Santa hat on and an Imagineering shirt. Do you think I'm that stupid?
Just saying.
Old and tired, not stupid, Jay. Come on now. That's a new Meacham epitaph.
Okay.
All right. We're talking about importance to the brand. If we're going to talk about television importance to the brand, this next one, which also Disney Plus only has the first 5 episodes, still 3 years after launch, What the Shit Company. How can I not have a list of important Disney songs without the Mickey Mouse March? Hello. I mean, that one I hear every day. Like literally every day. Christmas or not. Matter of fact, the Straw Hatters have a show. They usually set up in front of the showcase now, and they bring him out playing that song. So there you go. The Mickey Mouse, everybody knows the Mickey Mouse March. Every single person on the planet, unless you don't have access to outside media, Australia, knows the Mickey Mouse March.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's on the list. Straight and simple.
Pretty much.
I mean, who is the leader of the club? That everybody, like, as soon as you hear that opening, the music part, you know, oh, Mickey's coming. Here we go. That's
Yep.
what it is. It's one of those muscle memories. You hear that opening note, it's like, oh, it's time for Mickey the Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, time to cry again. Number 4 is on the list for a couple reasons. One, the importance of the movie to the company. Number 2, it was the company founder's probably greatest theatrical triumph, the movie itself. And number 1, it was because it's his favorite song. And it was mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Now, I've loved this movie since I was a boy. I'm not even going to try to front on that. I love this song since I was a boy. Although when you're a kid, it's like, God damn, this song's slow. Can we get back to the action? Thanks. And then you hear the story from Mr. Sherman about Walt walking out of the office after a day, sitting there next to them, in the room and on the piano with the Sherman brothers, and just goes, play it. And they would play Feed the Birds on the piano for him. And he would cheer up, and he would get up, and he'd go home to Lily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, from a kid's perspective, that song murders the movie about as much as Cheer Up Charlie or There's Always Tomorrow from Rudolph. Like, it just brings the movie to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like you said, when you get older, you get wiser. Maybe you've seen Saving Mr. Banks, which incorporates a lot of that into it, or you've done your research and you know how much that's all meant to Walt.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden you can watch it and you see it in a completely different light. And you're like, okay, it still slows the movie down.
Yeah.
And it still takes a minute to get going again coming out of it.
Yeah.
But I can be a little bit more acceptive of it because of what it means to Walt and the company and everything you said. So
Not just to Walt, to the company. It's like it's a major lesson for the kids at that moment. And as parents, we look to that, major lessons that are shown to kids. And even though as kids we don't realize what the lesson is, as we grow up, we actually understand what they're trying to represent in that. And it's such an important song.
When we find out through the course of documentaries and through the course of, say, Mr. Banks, how important Mr. Banks really was, because much like we found out through the prequels, that Star Wars isn't really about Luke Skywalker. It's about the rise, the fall, and the redemption of Anakin Skywalker, at least until the sequels came out and then threw everything into a loop, because that's what we do at the Walt Disney Company. Boy, don't fire me. Mafia. Don't hear that shit. Anyway.
Hey, we love the sequel trilogy for everything that it is, but yes, absolutely. 1 through 6, and even 4 through 6 is about 4 through 6 is about the redemption of Anakin Skywalker.
Yep.
You bring 1, 2, 3 into it, and now it's the rise, the fall, and the redemption of Anakin Skywalker.
Right.
It was never about, as Hooper X put it in Chasing Amy, that Cracker Farm boy, Luke Skywalker, blonde hair, blue eyes. It was never about him.
No.
He was this much of the story.
This Mary Poppins was not about the kids. Mary Poppins was not about Julianne. Mary Poppins was about Mr. Banks.
Yeah.
And realizing who he really needed to be in the world. And this point in the movie is where it starts to pivot, because Mary imparts the lesson. The kids pass the bird woman with Mr. Banks. Mr. Banks dismisses her out of hand. The bank run happens. And that's when George's life completely goes 180. Right there in that moment, because we know why it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know it at the time as kids. So this song is a pivot point for everything in the movie, the company, and the man, Walt Disney. So, wow, how emotional I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to lie. Okay. Now, number 3 is as high as it is because of the importance of the company. And it is the very first thing you hear and the very first things you see in Walt's first full-length animated feature. and that's not cropped horribly at all. God damn, Jeff, that's bad. Okay. Anyway, the overture from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Like I said, it's the very first thing you see and hear out of Walt's first attempt to go big.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he hadn't gone big and succeeded, he would have gone home. That's what we always say: go big or go home. And it wasn't right away, but it did hit big. So much so that we're sitting here now, 95 years later, this month, for the record, I believe, that the company is afloat. And not only surviving, but thriving just a smidge.
Yeah, you know.
A little
bit. Mickey Mouse with the Infinity Gauntlet over here.
Should be doing okay, right? So, I mean,
hey.
Snow White changed everything for the brothers and for the company. Because for the first 14 years, they were just coasting. And I've done my due diligence thanks to this show being a thing. You know, first 14 years were, and of course, watching the Mickey documentary helped just a smidge. For coasting, even with Mickey's success, it was still hit or miss a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Mickey was hit or miss a lot. They talk about it in the documentary quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Snow White changed everything, and this is the first thing you see and hear of that movie, so it's important.
Yes.
Speaking of our beloved mouse, if that's the first thing you see or hear in Walt's full-length animated feature debut, the song we're about to talk about is the very first thing you hear in a sound cartoon that succeeded, period.
Yes.
Now, much like our previous Mickey entry, wasn't created for this movie, but damn if it didn't help quite a bit. The thread throughout the whole short. And had Steamboat Willie not picked up distribution, had it not gone through, unlike Plane Crazy or The Galloping God Show, 5 years in, they're dead in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Because Oswald had been taken away from them by Universal Studios.
Yep.
And Charles Mintz's bullshit.
Yep.
So, Steamboat Willie is the reason we celebrate on November 18th every freaking year at that place. Much to my exhausted ass's chagrin last month. I think I'm still tired from the 18th. I'm not going to lie. Big day, long day. But it's fun, of course. And Steamboat Willie is the reason we do that. And that's why we, as a company, acknowledge that day as his birthday. And yes, I will say it until they fire me for saying it. That's Pete's birthday, too.
It is Pete's birthday, too.
Like, damn it, seriously.
And Minnie's.
Well, we actually started doing Mickey and Minnie's birthday because that was on the button last year.
True, but for the longest time, they only acknowledged Mickey. Like,
yeah,
could swear there was a female counterpart there. Women's equality, right? Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, Mickey. It was Mickey's 90th birthday on that ABC special, so there is that. And Minnie sat there and took it like a champ. So God bless her. Pete wasn't even on that damn special.
The epitome of Tammy Wynette, Stand By Your Man.
Right.
But I digress. Buy that shirt too.
Hey, I think it was the reason Minnie was loving all over me and giving me kisses when I saw her a couple weeks ago. I didn't want to get involved in. That's some domestic shit I ain't getting involved in. Anyway, now I just ruined my chance of company ever again, so we're going to go move number one now. Yeah, but I'm fired today. It's all right. Whatever.
Oh, no. If your number one is what I think your number one is, you might just redeem your job here, Meach. Go ahead.
If all these songs were important to the brand or important to me or important to whatever, this song is both. It's important to the company. It's very important to me, as we all know. And I think it's safe to say that this is the company's theme song. I mean, it's the very first thing they play in the Esplanade when the park opens up and the lights come on again in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
We know we've been there at Park Open. We've been there before Park Open, so we know this.
Long days.
Yeah, long days. They're even longer now because I'm going in with my costume on. when you wish upon a star, your dreams will come true.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any more positive message in the freaking world than that simple little sentence? I don't think
Not
so.
really, no.
Really?
It's encouraging, even if your life is and it's a ball-faced friggin' lie. It still gives that little glimmer of hope, just that little ray of hope that it could be better.
Yeah.
Wish upon a star.
I mean, that song, like you said, it basically kicks off the parks every morning, and it's very akin to the Lost World Jurassic Park. You hear when you wish upon a star, ooh ah, that's how it starts. Then the rope drops, then comes the running and the screaming.
I use that in the kitchen so much, and I go, "Oh wait, wrong part. Go ahead, move on. Go ahead, you're good."
But it's accurate, 100% without question. Like, if there was ever a quote that was not Disney that described rope drop in the morning, there it is.
Yes.
Ooh, ah, that's how it starts. Then there's running and screaming.
You get off that tram, you're cruising, you're walking up to the gates, everything's good, the gate's open. There's a little bit of shuffle, not too much. You walk down Main Street, you hit that partner statue. Oh, Walt and Mickey. Rope drops. Ah, that's it. It's over. Out into the hub, as was designed. Spread out.
Yep.
It only took me 32 minutes. I'm proud of my damn self.
Hey.
I am proud of you too, sir. That was a stellar list, and I will have you know, knowing what's to come from Cici and knowing what's come from me, between the two of us, there is only one similarity to your list.
Wow, that makes me feel better. I'm so glad. That's good.
And I will just throw this out there before I let Cici take it away and give her list. I originally had 17 songs that I narrowed all the 28 to 70 down to, and then I had to narrow down from our 10. So I shared one with you, and I originally shared one with Cici,
right?
But then I let her have it, and I just picked from the other 16 on my list. So originally I had one in common with both of you, but out of 30 songs, that means there's 28 that were different in the Disney catalog.
Yes.
Like that says a lot about the difference of our tastes, the way we were raised, and our subjective preferences.
Exactly.
No, I will say that even though we have songs that are different, we had a few movies in common.
There's quite a few. I think we have a lot of the similar movies, but I know there's at least one movie that all three of us share and have different songs for.
Yes.
And I will say for Yvonne TC, I really, and I mean struggled to not have Bare Necessities in my top 10 because I love that song so damn much. But it's like, I know one of y'all's going to have it. Gee, I wonder which one. So I figured just... No, really?
Neither of you? Had it.
We both have Jungle Book, but neither one of us have that song.
Bare Necessities, yes.
Wow. Okay. Now I am curious.
All right. Okay. Sweetheart, the floor is yours. I know you've got your little notebook in front of you with your rewritten notes, so go ahead and take it away with your number 10.
Okay. So before I get started, I just want to give you guys, in all honesty, I know we had all those different categories to choose from, movies, television shows, things. I realized while I was going through my list is as many things, the Merry Melodies, that everything that I had to go through. Growing up, my influence actually stayed mostly in movies, and I will tell you why. Because my father, he insisted on showing us all the things that he found so amazing as a child. So Blockbuster was our friend, and we did mostly movies. So as much as I love all of those things, my top 10, after I was done, was like, they're all movies. So my number 10, from 1961, as we were speaking about earlier, sweetheart, the only other song that we know that we can share with the world knowing from Ray Bolger. Babes in Toyland.
Nice.
Yes, we won't be happy till we get it. And I chose this one because, as you'll see with my list, I have a penchant for villains.
Yeah.
They have the most interesting stories usually, especially when it comes to Disney. And the fact that this one is so very stereotypically, the dark man with the mustache.
Right. Snidely style.
Yes, Snidely Whiplash. Yes, but I always loved that song so much. Whenever I watched Baby in Toyland, in fact, my sister and my brother I used to drive them nuts because I would rewind that part because it was to me it was the most exciting part of the movie, other than Ed Wynn's part. But it also, the villain's songs always set the tone for the movie. Without those songs, you do not know what the conflict is, and that song always made me get up and want to dance.
Right.
Yes. So that is my number 10.
I will
And
say, oh, go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that is the one that we shared.
Yes.
Okay.
That is the one that I had on my list that I was trying to determine if it was going to be on my list. And then I saw that she had it. I was like, I'll let you have that one. I'll
Yeah.
just go from my other 16 because a lot of the same reasons that she said, I sit there and I watch Babes in Toyland and it's like, I hate to say this, but all the other songs are forgettable.
Yeah. Yep.
I walk out of there remembering We Won't Be Happy Till We Get It. A lot of it falls on Ray Bolger.
Yes.
The Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz. It's like that's how I grew up knowing him. And then I saw this movie too, and it's like, wait a minute, the Scarecrow's a bad guy?
Yeah.
And he was a good bad guy too.
Yes.
Like he was so dastardly.
Yes. All right.
So I was going to say before sorry to interrupt. I think that your approach, as far as like you understand that the villains drive the day. I think that's a large part of why the companies embrace the villains so much and why they've kind of given them their own little place in history, in the parks, in media, because they realize that not everything is about the princesses and the heroes, man. You
Right.
cannot have a good protagonist without an equally impressive antagonist.
Yes, absolutely.
And Walt was a storyteller, first and foremost, and stories are driven by the antagonist.
So true. So, let me see. Next, my number 9. So, my number 9 is one of the first movies we share.
Ooh.
And the funny thing is that my number 9 is 1941's Dumbo. And the funny thing that you mentioned, the song just before mine, which is the Pyramid of Pachyderms.
Yes.
I've always loved that little dream sequence from them accidentally getting drunk and running around, and it was just so much fun just watching all the chaos that ensues, that kind of drives him to realize exactly what he can be, because if it wasn't for that accident, he would have never ended up on the wires with those lovely crows. So I've always enjoyed the Pyramid of Pachyderms. It's my favorite part of the movie. It's like this interlude into just a moment of awakening. So that is just my all-time favorite song in that movie.
Yeah, Pink Elephants is so good. They have made sure they've kept it and retained it as a major part of the random part of Phantasmic, because it just fits so well into the framework of the story that they're trying to tell as they build up to the reveal of the villain. So good stuff. Love it. Love it.
Absolutely. Okay, this brings me to number 8. So number 8 is the first time I'm going to mention this particular Disney actress who donned so many lovely, lovely live action movies. This one's from 1961, The Parent Trap. So, yes,
Mills.
it is the time the twins actually, as the song says, get together.
Yes.
Yeah, it's their attempt to bring their parents together So they show up together, and each of their styles fuse to show that if they can fuse everything, not knowing who each other was, not even 2 months before, maybe you guys should start talking and pulling yourself together. So I've always loved that part. It's the little, that 60s rock moment in the movie, but it's the first time that they, right after they reveal that they've switched places, you know. I've always found that, like, that fun little, okay, let's now put the cheer in the movie because it's been tense all the way up until this point.
Right? Yeah, I only really got to appreciate Parent Trap a lot more after seeing the remake, and also after moving in with my sister, because the Haley Mills love does not decrease one bit in that house. So just but it's so funny to think of her now and all the stuff she's done, and she's still so tied to this brand and this company.
Yes.
So, and she was a wonderful actress. Just great stuff.
Okay, so now we come to number 7. Now, number 7 is important to me because my father has this subculture that he's absolutely obsessed with. The country of Brazil.
Oh.
So, as at 8 years old, he got introduced to everything Brazil, and during that, he decided to go on an adventure. And of course, Disney had an introduction to Brazil of their own. So, as children, he put this in. He's like, "This is your introduction to Brazil." And so, it's 1944's Three Caballeros.
Nice.
It's Miss Carmen Miranda, which everybody here in America knows as the Chiquita Banana Lady.
Yes.
But this was my introduction to Carmen Miranda. Ois Candice de Yaya.
Yes.
Yes. It's such an important movie in my family, and that song is so important in my family. My dad introduced it to us when we were kids. We introduced it to our kids. Our kids run around, oh, Three Caballeros song. Every single kid, every single one of his kids, grandkids will sit down at the same time and watch this movie.
Yeah.
It's just so, it's such a important movie, and that is, it's a great little turning point. And that's, of course, where Donald gets his blush on because he sees this wonderful, wonderful woman, and he's trying to figure out what the heck she's saying, following her around like a sick puppy. It's awesome. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Number 6. Number 6 is another one we shared as a movie. Okay. 1953's Peter Pan.
Peter Pan. Yes.
Peter Pan. Yes. Except following the leader. It was such a fun little song, and it was the first time that John and Michael really learned how to play. Because if you think about everything they do, they have to kind of hide their enthusiasm for play up until this point. And now they're out and they're having an adventure, and let's play follow the leader. So we're running around wilderness, having a good time and learning how to be children.
Right.
And it's just an amazing part of that story. It's my favorite part, just watching them actually transition and learning that it is okay for them to actually be boys for a while.
Right.
So that's just an awesome little transition there.
Yeah. I got to say in front of you, see, because JJ knows this. The moment I realized that Mr. Darling is also the voice of Captain Hook, and the comparison of why the kids have to hide, it was kind of like a whoa moment.
Right.
And I talked about this with him. It was like, it all makes sense. Yes. I get it. And then when he has a moment at the end about remembering he was a boy and seeing the pirate ship, it was like, whoa.
Right. So yeah, I've always enjoyed that part, and to the point where, like I said, my siblings and I, we all have our hands in this list, but we
Absolutely.
would literally go around the house singing the song, playing, following the leader. It was fantastic.
The only time I went over to Tom Sawyer Island and actually enjoyed it was we did that with my friends.
Exactly. Okay, number five. Number five is actually from 1955's Lady and the Tramp.
Oh.
And yes, it is the Siamese cat song. I told you, penchant for villains.
Damn.
I love this moment. I've always loved this song. It was the only reason why I even wanted a cat as a child until I found out I was allergic. Because I loved Lady to death, but the whole being jealous of the baby and everything like that, they kind of put a nice little spin on that and it kind of gives her that wake up moment to realize, okay, there's more to life than just me. So the Siamese cats invading her area,
right,
and showing her, oh, you think this is yours? Anything can happen to you, darling.
right.
If I don't think if she had that wake up moment, she would have survived outside. I don't think she would have.
No, I agree.
So they are such a pivotal point, and it's such a fun song. Especially for a villain, it's such a fun song.
Yeah.
So that's
it's one of those, like, I've noticed this. The cat villains in Disney are straight pure evil. You got these little shits. You got Scar. Man, they
Lucifer. Don't forget Lucifer.
Yeah.
Oh, Lucifer is a whole other level.
Fat Cat from the Rescue Rangers.
Oh,
right.
Yeah. Yes, I don't know what it was with Disney and not liking cats, but sometimes I'm there with them because you watch the cats and you see, oh well, that's where it comes from, right there. They're so selfish, but
they are.
But they do make them fun. They do make them fun. All right, number 4. Again with my villains here. So number 4, 1963's Sword in the Stone.
Ooh, Madam Mim.
Madam Mim. Without this and one other Disney film, I actually would not have ever become obsessed with witches. Between her and, unfortunately, the other Disney film is slightly out of the time frame, so I won't mention it. But between those two, I became obsessed with witches as a child because they were so fun.
Right.
But her battle with Merlin to see who the best magician is has always sat with me as the most fun thing possible. I mean, with Sword in the Stone, there was so much that was so unusual about it. There wasn't really any solid, I would say, lesson to be learned, like in most Disney films. You always have a lesson to be learned, but this one was just all over the place. So when you see the chaos of Madam Mim, all the chaos that he learns to become Arthur is so worth it because it explains why everything is so chaotic and what he's being prepared for.
Right.
I've always loved, because I'm a historian at heart, so I've always loved Arthur's story. And I know there's so much more that wasn't presented in that movie, but that short little time frame, I've always enjoyed it. I've always had fun with it. But when it comes to that movie, the best part, the most entertaining part, has to be Mim and that giant dragon.
Disney has a knack for that, for doing something historical and leaving a bunch of it out, or something from source material and leaving a bunch of it out. We can sit here all day and talk about the accuracy of something like Pocahontas, which we don't want to get into that one.
We won't get into Pocahontas.
But something like Mickey's Christmas Carol. You figure they do that entire story in like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's why it was hard for so many years for me to sit through an hour and a half, 2 hour telling of A Christmas Carol. It's like, Come on, let's Brian Cage this shit. Get your shit in. Mickey and the crew can do it in 25 minutes, y'all.
Why can't you? Right?
Natalie still can't sit through a regular version of A Christmas Carol for the same reason. And she's
Like-
14 now. Like she's almost at that age where she should be able to transition over. But she's just like me still. She says the same thing. Come on. Mickey and the gang get it done in 25 minutes. Let's go, people.
This company is notorious for giving us too much information and unnecessary run times. Looking at you, Black Panther Part 2. Good Lord. 3 hours. No. Damn. But yeah, we got our shit in 25 minutes. Let's go, Jim Carrey. Let's go, Patrick Stewart. Come on. Let's go. And I will say this, because JD will appreciate this as well. We got a lot of the Sword in the Stone stuff in Once Upon a Time, the television series.
Yes.
Where the hell was Madam Mim? I ask you that. Even in the Land of Untold Stories, folks came over.
Right.
Their ass over on that freaking boat. Come on, man.
Thank you.
Killing me, Smalls. Anyway.
Yes.
Sorry, Rock Company. Go ahead. You're good.
That's okay. All right. Number 3. Here's another shared movie. 1967's Jungle Book.
There it is. There we go.
That's what friends are for.
What
Yes.
are we going to do today?
Oh, I don't
I don't know
know.
what you want to do.
Don't stop that again. But
Damn it. I'm so glad this falls in that era because this movie's too good to not have go talk about somewhere. Jesus.
All the great songs in there. I won't mention my dad's favorite because I'm pretty sure that's going to come up soon. Most people's favorite, of course, is the one that you were going to use but did not.
Yes.
But mine has always been that because it's a sibling bonding.
Right.
We would literally, every time it came on, we'd pause it and the three of us would sit there and we'd do the back and forth all the way through and then play and start singing the song with it all the way up until Shere Khan interrupts. I love it so much. It's just such a fun little song. And for the first time since he runs away and gets lost, he finds that it's possible for him to still make friends in this place. And it's a beautiful thing. And the funny thing is the friends that he makes is the last ones in the world that any of us would ever want to see because we know what that means. But of course, him growing up there has no clue why that's the last stop for him. So it's great. I just absolutely adore that one.
It really hits hard how metaphorical these movies and these presentations are. It's like the last thing that a body gets around when they go, the vultures swoop in and start to pick at what's left. It's like,
Right.
dude, this scene is like everyone.
Yes, it's so true. And he, like I said, he doesn't realize how much danger he actually is. These vultures want to be his friend,
Right?
but he's just so happy that he can make another friend.
Yeah.
Because everybody is, kind of at arm's length right now, and he doesn't understand why.
The innocence and unfortunate ignorance of youth.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then you factor in the fact that it was almost the Beatles as their voices.
Right.
Yes.
That's why they have mop top haircuts.
Right. Yeah.
And
Not
speak
often
with
anybody
British
that knows
accents.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like for those that don't know.
Jesus.
Okay, number 2. Number 2 is probably the movie in which everyone after this show is going to go, and go look this up.
Ooh.
Yes.
Don't get an education here, folks.
This particular movie was my dad's introduction to adventure. To this day, even though this movie was made in 1962, you can show this to a child and the adventure, all of the graphics and everything, they will still suspend the disbelief. And it was so innovative and so advanced for its time.
I got to say, I love the expression on Jeff's face because you can see the hamster wheel with Pinky running around inside
Right,
it, trying to
trying to figure
figure
out
out
what movie
what
this
it is
is.
you're talking about.
Yes. 1962's In Search of the Castaways, starring Maurice Chevalier and Haley Mills.
Good
The
morning, Miss
song
Bliss.
is Enjoy
Right.
It. Now, in this particular scene, you see this large, giant tree in the background.
Yes.
Haley Mills and her brother have taken off to try and find their lost parents who are adventurers. They're in the Serengeti currently, and there was a flash flood. So they got stuck in a giant tree. They wake up in the morning, and of course they're starving, they're wet, they can't figure out what's going on. So Maurice Chevalier looks around and says, "What are you talking about? Why are you so down? Look at the environment around you. Look at what you have here. Enjoy it." And he starts singing to them and makes them breakfast from the bird's eggs he finds in the tree, which as a child, you're like, wow, breakfast is right there. As an adult, you're like, did he just steal those bird's eggs? But the point is, it's such an uplifting song because at the moment they're looking at life like, how did we get here? And he's like, what are you talking about? You're in the perfect place. Look at this place. And it is. It's such an amazing. This movie is amazing. I mean, the giant tree in the Serengeti. They literally toboggan on a large piece of ice through a hollowed out mountain. This is an amazing movie. But that moment in time, where the kids were thinking they're not going to be able to find their parents, it's that turnaround moment where everybody's like, oh, well, yeah, this isn't so bad after all. We might actually make it. So it's also my introduction to Maurice Chevalier, which most Americans only know them from that one moment in the Mel Brooks film, History of the World, where they're like talking in the bar. We all sound like we are Maurice Chevalier. Nobody knows about it except that. But I actually knew who Maurice Chevalier was. So, of course, that joke was not lost on me. So,
before you get to number one, I have two questions.
Of course.
Number one, JJ, can we agree that Haley Mills is Ricky Steamboat of movies? She'll never be a bad guy, ever.
No.
Like, it couldn't have been a thing.
Nah.
It couldn't have been a thing. And number two, Mel Brooks, where's History of the World Part 2? When is that coming out? Carry on.
Anyway. Yes, I've still been waiting for that for many, many years now.
Probably when the world ends. Oh, wait. Can't do it then.
Okay, and my number one. The last movie we have in common.
Oh.
1964's Mary Poppins.
Nice.
I love to laugh. That moment has always been my favorite. The fact that they physically have given the world that picture, that laughter is so uplifting. It literally can lift you. I have always enjoyed that. First of all, I've always been a huge fan of Ed Wynn in the first place. Just hilarious man. But her visiting her uncle, that moment, it is just the pinnacle of the movie for me. You know, it's not that I don't understand or don't enjoy the whole rest of that movie, but that has always been my favorite part. Because my thought process has always been that laughter is uplifting. It's one of the reasons why I smile all the time. And that is literally the physical representation of my whole thought process. So that is my number one.
That's awesome. I love how your list was bookended by Ed Wynn movies. That was awesome. And it occurred to me right now, in this moment, at whatever the hell time it is taping it on this day, that it was Uncle Albert in the room that was different from all on it there, and then Cousin Topsy. Are they related? Just saying.
Right.
something to put in your chili and stir around for a bit. Walt's chili, if you're coming to the parks with me, stir that around a bit and mull it over as you're eating your dinner at Carnation Cafe, if you can afford it. Lord knows I can't. Anyway, all right, Jay, I'm curious now, because like you said, there's only one song that is shared throughout all three of these lists, and we know it's on your list. So 29 songs, and there's only one that's doubled to make it 30. So I am greatly curious what is in store and what neither one of her and I had that's on your list.
Well, one that was officially doubled, because like I said, originally I did have We Won't Be Happy Till We Get It.
Yes.
But I went ahead and withdrew that from contention for me since she had it. That way there was at least one less repeat. So technically there's 28 different songs, but yeah, 29.
Right.
So, and I did this kind of similar to the way you structured yours, Meacham.
Okay.
But maybe a little bit more in reverse. Like all these songs are songs that I can 100% co-sign that I love. So they're all favorites of mine. But I tried to go from the more or less known ones and then making my way into the more popular ones as we got towards the top of the list.
Okay.
Number 10, like if you want to talk about a less known Disney song that perfectly encompasses the Renegade. It is the title track from this 1965 movie, sung by Annette Funicello and the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
The Monkey's Uncle. I mean, can you get much more 60s movie than that, having a hot pop rock group in your movie making a cameo? That was the trend in the 60s. So much so that they lampooned it in That Thing You Do, with the Wonders appearing at the movie, you know, Captain Geek and the Shrimp Shack Shooters or whatever they were called. You know, it's one of those things, like you see all the time these movies where these musicians would just pop up out of nowhere, do a song, and they had absolutely nothing to do with the plot of the movie.
No.
They just happened to be there, do a song, and then it was gone. And this was one of the time where, to steal a phrase from Nightmare Before Christmas, two worlds collided in Disney. You had the most famous Mouseketeer prior to the 90s with Brittany, Christina, Justin, and all them. Annette Funicello, alongside the Wilson brothers, their cousin Mike Love, their best friend Al Jardine, the Beach Boys. Like I said, is there any lesser known Disney song that better encompasses the Renegade? I'm willing to hear arguments, but when I even showed the picture to Cici, she was like, "That's you right there, babe."
Yeah.
Is there anything more Disney movie made in California than Annette Funicello and the freaking Beach Boys?
So true.
But it's a great song. Like it's such a catchy toe tapping number. If you've never heard it before, to the fans at home, look it up on YouTube. It's a perfect Beach Boys song. Seriously, like it's right up there with Fun, 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 I Get Around, all those type of songs.
You know what? I'm going to make an executive decision right now. Once this show goes live at whatever time we decide to put it on that particular day on the 12th, we'll have the soundtrack of the show, of each show.
There you go.
Link on
like
YouTube.
That.
Playlist YouTube. Boom, there it is. Okay, that's what we're doing.
Number 9 on my list, and I'm the only one that has anything from Silly Symphonies shorts on their list.
Yeah.
I have 2 entries from there on my list. Ironically, they're back-to-back. They're 9 and 8. Because they're so forgotten by the general populace. Yeah. I know Disney geeks like us will know exactly what these songs are, these characters, etc. Right. Number 9 comes to us from a short from 1934, and it's sung by Pinto Colvig, the original voice of Goofy. The World Owes Me a Living, from The Grasshopper and the Ants.
Oh, man. Great reach. Great pull. That's awesome.
I remember seeing this short growing up as a kid, and even before I started making connections about how certain voices sounded alike, there was something about this that was like, I know that voice for some reason. Why is this voice so familiar to me? And then you get older, you get a little wiser, the internet's at your fingertips, and you can do cyber research for good, not for evil, folks.
Right.
And you realize that it's the original voice of Goofy, and you're like, it makes perfect sense why this voice was so familiar to me for all those years.
Right.
Very much like the voice that narrates the story that my number 8 comes from 1954. So we're going ahead 20 years here. And I mean, along with Edwin and probably Pinto Colvig, dare I say that this guy was one of the premier MVPs for classic Disney. Sterling Holloway telling the story of Lambert the Sheepish Lion.
God, I haven't seen literally decades, I think, at this point in my life. Wow.
Yes.
You know, it's another one of those where you hear the voice telling the story, and Sterling Holloway cannot change his voice to save his life.
No.
Every character he does sounds identical.
Yes.
In fact, he's reprising his role as the stork from Dumbo, delivering baby Lambert in this one. So it's the same character.
Yeah. Yep.
But, you know, the stork from Dumbo sounds like the Cheshire Cat, sounds like Winnie the Pooh, sounds like Caw. It's like, and there's so many other voices he does. I just am like going through some of the greatest hits here for people.
Right.
Narrating Peter and the Wolf. You know, another one that seriously could have been in contention here. But Lambert the Sheepish Lion is one of those songs that I always remember, that when I talk to other people about it, they're like, I think I remember that. So it's like I had to give Lambert some love here.
Absolutely.
You know, the consummate guy that doesn't fit in, because I mean, you figure a lion's supposed to eat the sheep.
Yeah.
And he's grown up and raised by this family. He's just protecting them.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, it should not work on any kind of realistic level. Kind of like Simba with Timon and Pumbaa. Like, that's prey for him.
Mhm.
But he grew up with them. Those are his buddies. Like, it just works. Number 7 for me comes from a movie that I share with Jeff.
Ooh.
And we've heard the stories hundreds of times about how you went through multiple copies of the VHS over your youth, to the point where your parents said, no more, goddamn it. I'm tired of spending $29.95 for you to watch this movie until the tape snaps.
Yeah.
But you think of this movie and you think of When You Wish Upon a Star. You think of Hi Diddly Dee. A lot of people forget about this one, Little Wooden Head.
Oh God.
Mhm.
And honestly, this is my favorite song in the entire movie, because it's right there on the cusp of Geppetto and his wish. You know, and he is making Pinocchio be just like a real boy.
Right.
Mhm.
Just before he gets up there and he makes that wish for Pinocchio to become real and the blue fairy coming down and everything. It's a forgotten gem. Like, it really is. Personal opinion.
No, it very much ties into what I talked about earlier with Cindy's song and the company. You know, what was the dream when Walt was heading out here to California? He wished that something he did could change the company's fortunes. He had the dream to make it big as a storyteller. Mickey made that happen.
Mm-hmm.
The whole damn company ties itself together. It's really ridiculous, metaphorically and crazy. Anyway.
Yeah. Number 6 is another one that I think gets forgotten about, but it's from a legendary voice.
Mm.
From 1949, the Song of the Headless Horseman.
Oh, yes.
Sung by Bing Crosby, Mr. White Christmas himself.
Mhm.
And it's so weird to think that the man that sings White Christmas, arguably the second, unfortunately, thanks to Mariah Carey, most popular Christmas song of all time, can do something this dark.
Right?
Mhm.
You know, it's like, okay, if you read stories about Bean's personal life, maybe it's not that far of a stretch to imagine. But if all you know of this kind old soul is White Christmas and maybe Little Drummer Boy Peace on Earth with David Bowie, to hear him sing the song about the Headless Horseman, it's like, ooh,
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know you could do that, but that voice, goosebumps.
Yeah.
Right?
It's such another one. It's such a forgotten gem because the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, for starters, really aren't that big of musicals like most of Disney's. Like Ichabod's got the Headless Horseman, Mr. Toad's got the Merrily song.
Mm-hmm.
There might be another one in each of them, but they're not like full-blown musicals like most of the Disney fare are.
Yep.
So it's very easy to forget that there's actually a couple of gems of a song in there. And
And even back when it was released, Ichabod, the Ichabod half of that was so controversial. We at the parks never really implemented it into anything.
but now
Mr.
you've
Toad,
got the statue of the Headless Horseman in
well,
DCA,
true.
so it's
but
like,
that's only in the last 20 years, and not even the full 20 that the park's been open either. Keep
oh,
that
I
in
know,
mind.
it's more like the last 5.
Yeah, I'm pretty much since the implementation of Oogie Boogie's thing, and that was,
Yeah.
like you said, just before pandemic, so 5 years ago. But Mr. Toad got his wild ride, what, park open?
Pretty much.
So,
I can tell you that particular song and that particular cartoon was actually one of the things that sparked my love for history in the first place. That's also one of the fairy tale stories, which we know does have some truth to it.
yes.
That I studied so much. In fact, when they made the actual television show a few years back, yes, I was the first in line to watch that. In fact, I'm rewatching it now.
It's another forgotten gem. It's not our Disney thing, but it's very much a forgotten gem in the annals of film and television because it was very good.
It was.
All right, so here we are at the halfway point, and this is the one movie that all 3 of us had on our list.
Oh,
Meacham, you had Feed the Birds. Cici, you had I Love to Laugh. From 1964's Mary Poppins, I bring to you The Perfect Nanny.
nice.
And I found it interesting that none of us had Step in Time,
Nope.
Chim Chimery, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, or Spoonful of Sugar. As iconic as all of those songs are, we all went left field or left center.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for pulling a song out of Mary Poppins, arguably Walt's definitive masterpiece.
Yes.
I think because those songs you mentioned are just so like everybody knows those songs, everybody plays those songs, and yes, Feed the Birds gets play now more so because of the tie to Walt. But
Right.
these 3 songs still don't get near the love or appreciation from the public en masse that the other 4 do.
I mean, do not get me wrong. You know, I am absolutely in love with Julie Andrews.
Yeah.
I've watched every single last one of her musicals because I think her voice is amazing. But I think that the lesser songs to the public eye are the ones that actually help tell the story.
Yeah,
More
absolutely. I
than
mean,
those big
without
numbers.
The Perfect Nanny, there is no Mary Poppins.
Right.
Because it's
Right.
their letter, their song, their requests for their dad and mom to find their nanny that ultimately results in Mary Poppins materializing at their doorstep.
Yeah.
And literally blowing away the competition.
Think about this, Jade. This is the only song either on our list or mentioned by you just now that is not sung by Dick or Julie
True.
in some way. Granted, and when it's
Yeah,
part of
that's
Love
true.
to Life is
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, all those songs feature either Julie Andrews or Dick Van Dyke in some sort of vocal. This one does
Mhm.
not, and it really, like you said, kicks the story off.
So now we get to the more popular ones,
Ah.
in my personal opinion. We've left some of the lesser known behind, the forgotten gems, if you will. Number 4 is it's a sentimental favorite. It's one that my daughter loved. It's one that my daughter actually got to perform a dance routine to. From 1970s Aristocats. Everybody wants to be a cat. Oh, a rinky tinky tinky. Kitty ate Baloo. You laugh, but for years and
I
years,
know about it.
for those of you out there that don't know the story, that is what Teresa, my daughter's mom, used to say about that movie for years because of the fact that Thomas O'Malley is Phil Harris, the voice of Baloo. And much like Sterling Holloway, he doesn't change his voice. He's just Phil Harris.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Thomas O'Malley sounds undeniably like Baloo. Like there ain't even an attempt to change, add an accent or anything. No. He's just screw this. I'm Phil Harris. You're paying me to be Phil Harris. I'm gonna be Phil Harris. God damn it.
That's right.
So it was Kitty ate Baloo because the kitty sounded just like Baloo.
The only thing worse than the cat sounding like Baloo was freaking Little John dancing like Baloo. Oh, wait a minute.
They were both bears. They were just different shades. But yeah, I mean, I love the Aristocats. There might be a couple other songs that I would more traditionally pick. I also adore Scales and Arpeggios. But like I said, this one's sentimental because my daughter performed a dance routine in her dance troupe when she was younger to Everybody Wants to Be a Cat. So
This song is so popular that when Bert and Mary come out on the little it's small rolled hall stage with their band that comes with them, this is one of the songs they play because everybody knows it. And confession time on the dads. I still haven't seen this movie the whole way through.
oh, Meacham, that is a fail.
Even living with Yodada and her mother, I still have not seen this the whole way through. So it
That
is
is an
my
epic
vow
fail.
that on the list is not in this office because I'm not at home, but that is getting checked off before New Year's Eve.
All right.
Okay.
I will hold you to that.
I know you will.
I'll give you an extra week. Check it off before her birthday next.
That's fair. That's fair.
Just because December's nuts for us. So you may need a couple extra days.
Well, no, but I definitely
I've
wanna
got
get-
31 days. We've got 4 episodes of Dad. We've got a PLE, 2 PLEs on the same day. We've got a special Christmas edition of Open Mic Night. We're going nuts in December. So you might need those couple extra days.
I do want to at least watch it before I, see them again for the holidays. So
There you go.
That's why I'm saying before
I hear
that.
you. I hear you. Number 3 on my list, reeling it back in here, is the last one to appear on my list from a silly symphony.
Oh.
It appears in a silly symphony that actually won an Oscar
Ah.
from 1933. Who's
Yes.
Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf?
Yes.
Another honorable mention.
I mean, this song is just iconic for that era.
Yep.
And in case you're wondering why so many of these songs maybe seem sort of out of left field, but knowing me, they're not really. It's because I knew that this man was going to have a lot of the greatest hits. He didn't even share his list with me like he does in some lists. But I knew he was going to have like You Can Fly. I knew he was going to have When You Wish Upon a Star. I knew he was going to have some of those songs. So I didn't want to try and repeat those. I wanted to try to go a little bit deeper in the crates, if you will, of Disney lore. But Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf? I mean, for as popular of a song as it is, still is really kind of a forgotten gem in the grand scheme of things. Like it's just not spoken of with the kind of reverence that some of those other songs are.
This was the first song that got the company an Oscar for a song, as far as I know.
Yeah. And I mean, the pigs and the wolf are just iconic. They had numerous other spin-off or sequel shorts. They appear in things like Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are just legend. Their song was covered by LL freaking Cool J on Simply Mad About the Mouse, which was a cover album that came out in the 90s.
Yes.
While guys like Billy Joel were doing When You Wish Upon a Star, LL Cool J was rapping Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf.
Yes.
Like, for real.
Yeah. When you think about it, as important as this short and this song was to the company, they have not even been meetable characters in a minute either. They were at Long Lost Friends days. That's how forgotten those four are.
We got that.
Oh yeah, we when we saw them, the two of us went, "Oh shit, they just
I,
brought
I
us
will
back."
I will say a lot of people don't realize that was also kind of their first dabble into anything that was possibly dark. As
Right?
as fun as the actual song is, if you look at all of the visuals in that, it is a dark cartoon.
Mhm.
I mean, the picture of their father on the wall, from
Right?
how how the wolf meets his demise. It was a dark cartoon.
It is. It is.
And but it
You
was
really
so much
analyze.
fun to see something that different from them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
All right, so number 2 is another one that's sentimental, and it's from a movie that me and Cici shared together. 1967's The Jungle Book.
Okay.
And I know Jeff was surprised at the fact that I wasn't going to have the bare necessities. I honestly was seriously weighing back and forth between the two, but I think at the end of the day, what it really comes down to for me is the fact that I can sing this one like nobody's business. Because, ooby doo, I want to be like you.
There you go.
King Louis, the king of the swingers, baby.
That's right. Jungle
I
VIP.
just, it's so good. And then Baloo coming in at the end, trying to dress up like an orangutan
Yeah, yeah.
until the jig is up. And he's like, oh, crap, the disguise fell off.
Yeah. My, my dad absolutely, I mean, when this song comes on, I mean, the whole rest of the movie can play. This song comes on, he will run from 3 rooms away to do this song because he loves it so much. I mean, and his favorite part to do is when the little assistant starts whistling. He loves that part. He's like, why didn't my man get more play? Because he was down with that whistle, and King Louis kept pushing him aside like he wasn't doing his thing.
King Louis was a straight up hater. He
Yeah,
Right?
didn't
he
want
is
nobody stealing the
awesome.
spotlight from him.
No one, no, not even the boy. No one can steal the spotlight.
Okay. So before you get to this last one, now I'm curious as shit because we still haven't got to the one we share yet, and this is it.
Hmm.
So now I'm curious as all hell.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, what I'm wearing should give it away. Who's the leader of the club that is made for you and me? Oh no, not that song again.
Not that
Yes,
song
again.
You know, the Mickey Mouse Club. I mean, the Mouse March, with the exception of the actual Disneyland show. What show was the most defining Disney show of all time?
Yep.
You
Mhm.
figure it got the original run there in the 50s into the 60s,
Yes.
reinvented in the 70s,
Yep.
reinvented in the late 80s into the early 90s,
Mhm.
reinvented in the mid 90s,
Yep.
Mhm.
reinvented in the 2000s to Mickey Mouse Club House,
Mhm.
reinvented in the early 2000s with House of Mouse. This show, in some way, shape, or form, almost as much as When You Wish Upon a Star, has been that defining Disney characteristic. And it
Yes.
started in 1955.
Both those
Yes.
songs have endured.
You know, I grew up on the repeats of Mickey Mouse Club. I remember waking up in the morning, sitting down for breakfast, Mickey Mouse Club on the TV station on DTV. You
Mhm.
know, after that would be
Oh
like
my
Mouser Size.
Yes.
You know, after
Yes.
that would be like Dumbo's Circus and Welcome to
Yes.
Pooh Corner, which those we may get to in that era. They're definitely
Yep.
in contention on my list. Little
Yes.
spoiler alert. Not sure if they'll show up yet, but they're definitely in contention. But like that's what I grew up on.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
then like I said, growing up with the 80s, late 80s era and the party,
Yeah.
that spun
Mhm.
out of there. And then you got a little bit deeper in, and like I said, you had Britney and Christina and Justin Timberlake and Carrie Russell, and
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
there were so many people that were important to late 90s, early 2000s culture that spun out of that era,
Yep.
like almost as iconic as Annette herself from the 50s. Like you
Yes.
figure what she went on to with movies like The Monkey's Uncle, the Beach series with Frankie.
Yep.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes. To quote a famous toddler, Miss Annette Funny Jello. Or if anybody, yeah, so you remember. I see you remember.
I remember.
so
Hey,
yeah,
I will.
number one for me is the Mickey Mouse Club March.
I
Yes.
will say this though. You grew up on the repeats. You must have had a very repetitive childhood because according to Disney Plus, there's only 5 episodes of that show.
Well, see, back in my day, Sonny, before there was a Disney Plus and there was a Disney Channel, they showed them all.
Oh, I
Yes.
know.
I
I,
don't know why only those 5 are on Disney Plus. I think it's because when they made those Walt Disney Treasures metal
that,
tin sets, they did a Mickey Mouse Club set that had the first week.
that's
So I
true.
think that's why those are the ones on theirs, because those were kind of remastered, cleaned up for the digital presentation.
Mhm.
Trying to go through all the hours of that stuff to clean them up may just be too tedious of a task. But if you're watching out there, Disney executives, hello, we're talking to you. There are people out there like us, our parents' generations, that
Mhm.
will watch that stuff.
Yes.
And all of us will show it to our kids, our
That's
grandkids,
true.
to expose them to it. You know why? You know why? Come here, come here. Because it's that fucking awesome,
Why? Because we love them.
right?
Yes.
Mouse. Damn it.
So there it is.
Really,
That is my top 10 Disney songs.
I I'm not surprised at the one we shared. I knew it was going to be one or the other.
What'd you
So,
think was
but
going to be the other one?
when you wish.
Oh, okay.
I
Now, I
and,
tried to only have one representation per movie per thing. So
right.
when Woodenhead popped up, When You Wish was out of contention.
That makes sense.
But like I said, I tried to go with songs that I admit that I love, but
Right.
that may just be a little bit more less popular than
Absolutely.
the standard bearers from the movie.
That makes sense.
Because, and I'm sure I speak for all of us, it's a lot harder to come up with Disney songs that we don't like
Oh yeah.
So true.
than ones that we do like, because most of the songs in every movie we enjoy on some level.
Yes.
Are they top 10 worthy? That's debatable, but we love them all because they're so iconic. They are such an endearing and long lasting part of who we are.
Yes.
Now, next show, a little more challenging because the first half of the period of time, is, as you so eloquently put it, the Dark Ages, before during the Dark Times, before the relaunch of the Empire. So that is what it is. And you got to remember, the era we're going into next week, it was dark for the company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walt
I
had
mean,
just
they
passed,
were, yeah, they were without their fearless leader. They
and
did not know how they were going
1971,
to get through.
if you're 1971, Disney World's going to launch, and then Roy's going to pass.
Hmm.
So every year but the first year of this era we're about to cover, the Disney brothers were not running the company for the first time.
Yeah.
Yes.
For better or for worse, it really wasn't until Michael Eisner came into the picture that the ship kind of started to steer again towards the right direction.
And you figure
It
that
still
was,
it still had a little bit of work to do before it got onto the Renaissance course.
yep.
Mhm.
But that ship that was sinking, the water got started to get bailed out of it.
Yep.
The holes got patched, and the rudder fixed just enough to where it was starting to steer that way. And then we went under the sea, and everything was sunshine, lollipops, gold, and stuff all over again. They were hitting the mark with movie after movie after movie.
To
Ironically, there was
me,
so much water in the boat that got thrown out, and then we went under the sea, and everything got changed. Everything was okay.
yeah. But to be honest with you, during that era, I think it was more dark because people were afraid of what they were watching, not so much because it wasn't necessarily good.
Right.
There's some real gems during that era, but people were afraid that they weren't going to be as good because the Disney brothers weren't there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
There's I mean, there's at least 5 of my favorite Disney movies that were produced during that time. And a
What
lot of people were they just weren't popular because people were just afraid of what they were going to go see.
one of the songs that was originally on her list comes from that era, and I had to point out the fact that that's
I went
not the
slightly
era
over.
of the show you're going to be on.
Yeah.
yep.
You got to scratch that one off. Go ahead, just since you're not going to be on the next one, go ahead and tell them what that was.
Substitutionary Locomotion from Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. Yes.
Which,
That was the other movie that spawned my love for witches.
yep. It's that's going to be a hard one next week because I know Bed Knobs comes up during that, and
Mhm.
figure at the Renaissance, so does Beauty and the Beast, and we just lost Angela, so it's
Yeah, we just did. Oh, yeah.
tough
That
show.
was a
Sure,
difficult
but
one, and
Yeah.
and to be honest with you, that was my introduction to Angela. A lot of people our age, it was Beauty and the Beast or Murder She Wrote. That was my introduction to Angela, and from that point forward, I would watch her open her mail if I had a chance.
Yeah.
That was one of my all-time favorites. And then I also found out one of my other all-time favorites was a Disney movie that I had no clue was a Disney movie my entire life. I watched this movie over and over again. I memorized every song in this movie. And when I went to go look for Disney movies from, in chronological order, there it was. Robin Williams, Ray Walston, Shelley Duvall. Yes. Had no clue it was a Disney movie. None. But that's when it comes to musicals, that's probably my favorite of all time. I can sing every one of those songs backwards and forwards because in fact, the funny thing is when I was looking through them, my daughter was sitting there and she's looking at my list and she's like, well, why isn't this on there? And she even told Jay which song she would choose because hers would be Sweet Pea's Lullaby. If she had this list, she would choose Sweet Pea's Lullaby. I'm like, see, but that's one of 4 I would choose if I had this list.
Yeah, I think people forget that for those of you that aren't paying attention, but I think people forget that Popeye was Disney because as perfect as Robin Williams was to play Popeye, he didn't do all that well at the box office. And even in 1980, Disney was still a box office success for the most part. So people went, wait, that sucked that bad? And it was Disney? Wait, what?
Right.
Because it was during the Dark Ages.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The thing is, it's a cult classic now. It doesn't suck that bad now, but then everybody was like, what is this? For I'd say 18 years of my life, I watched that faithfully on my birthday every single year. I loved that movie. I still love that movie. It's absolutely amazing.
I love the Popeye cartoons so much, and of course Robin as Popeye is always good, but that I was convinced to eat spinach. And it was not just any spinach in a can, it was the Popeye brand spinach in a can that my grandmother bought for me at the grocery store. I took one bite and threw the mother effer against the wall because it tasted like, Dad, no! So the kids, eat your spinach. It's good for you. Don't be like Uncle Jeff. Be like Cici and eat your spinach anyway. It's all you're good to go. You good.
That's right. I loved Popeye spinach back in the day.
It just I've never liked spinach, even on a cold sandwich. Like meh.
It is what it is. But
But we went off the rails there.
yeah, we did. What did you guys think of our top 10 Disney songs from 1928 to 1970? What did we forget? I know there's a lot of them we didn't touch. As always, our lists are subjective. You know, just because it's not on our lists doesn't mean it's not a song that we love. But maybe it's something you would put in your top 10. Share your top 10s. If you're watching the premiere, leave them over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave them down there underneath Cici.
That's right.
This was so much fun. And honestly, even with that little sideways off the rails banter, we still kept it under an hour and 45 minutes.
For
Which,
yes.
holy hell, I was totally anticipating this to be like a 3-hour power sesh, knowing us and our love of Disney songs.
Yes.
So I am impressed.
That was good. And we look forward to a couple things. We look forward to the fact we don't have to cover a damn pay-per-view the rest of the year, so we don't have to worry about the weekend.
Right? I know that she's thankful for that.
Right. Although open mic night will still be a thing the next
Yes.
couple weeks. So, but we're doing it on Friday on the 23rd, and we'll get to the plug. So
yes. We've, like Jeff said, we've got 2 more weeks of Disney songs. Next week will be 1971 to 2000, and then the week after that will be 2001 to 2022. Like I said, Strange World, which opened up back in November, the end of November, is the last qualifying movie that can be on our lists.
Like the Oscars, kids. Gotta get it in.
Yes.
We've got, like Jeff said, open mic night, the special Christmas Eve edition.
The Eve
of Christmas. The Eve of Christmas Eve, as you so eloquently put it.
Yes.
Where we will have the Wheel of Carols.
Good grief.
Save your money for super chats, folks. We have got such gems on the wheel as Oh Christmas Tree, Deck the Halls, Joy to the World, and of course, the 12 Days of Christmas. A $5 super chat will get a spin of the wheel, and all 4 of us, myself, Meacham, Noah Foster begrudgingly has agreed, James Hebert, and if they're here, Josh Mansfield is down, Mikey T is down. We are all gonna go make fools of ourselves and sing these Christmas carols because that's what we do for Christmas.
It's like the Russian roulette wheel painted in red and green candy canes.
It's all about having fun, just letting go of the stress and the BS of the year and just having a good time.
Simply.
That's what we're going to do. Well, that one we're not going to do more than likely unless we add it to the wheel. I'm thinking if, a lot of the selections go, we may do like an interpretive song.
Medley.
That way we can put a little bit of a ha-ha spin of it without getting copyright dinged. The ones that are currently on the wheel are in the public domain.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay.
That way we don't get copyright dinged for them. But if all those or a lot of those get taken and we still have time, then we may throw like a Renegade interpretive performance where maybe I'll do like a William Shatner mock read of some song lyrics.
John Malkovich doing Night Before Christmas. Gotta make it happen.
James could do his Morgan Freeman.
Oh dear God.
Doing some Christmas lyrics. That way we don't get copyright pinged.
Right. I can't say the word out loud because we all in it now. As long as we avoid that one song that our King's buddy says we have to avoid until Christmas morning, we're good.
You know what? I may just do that one on purpose so that everybody loses Whamageddon.
You're a son of a bitch for that. You're terrible. You're awful.
And then, of course, after that, we've got the Christmas Eve, the New Year's Eve celebration.
Yeah.
Probably going to be the longest episode of Open Mic Night in Open Mic Night history.
Yes.
because I know we all want to go until it hits New Year's on the West Coast.
Yes.
So we're looking like a minimum of a 4-hour show. Minimum.
And that's if I'm not working. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Still don't know that yet.
So much good stuff in store. I'm doing 31 Days of Christmas right now. More than 31 movies if you factor in the fact that there's a few double and triple features thrown in there this month.
Yes.
You know, double feature of Grinch, 2 triple features of Rankin Bass. Got Muppets and Mickey Christmas Carol on the same day, etc.
Because they can both fit in one day. Patrick Stewart, Alistair Sam, looking at you. Jerks. Jim Carrey even. Even the animated Jim Carrey version is longer than those two. Jesus.
We're not doing that one this year.
No, thank God.
That's why I told him he should do Scrooged instead, but he won't do it this year.
Because I've already got my choices. It'll be there next year. There are so many versions of A Christmas Carol that I can literally do like a week of A Christmas Carol every year for at least the next 5 years.
So true. So true.
Scrooged will be in there next year.
Coming 2025, a month of Scrooge.
There's still a bunch of the classics that aren't even getting touched this year.
Oh,
you know, you figure you've got things like Christmas with the Cranks.
Oh God.
You've got.
Did you say classics?
I did.
I misheard that.
I did. It's another Tim Allen one. I mean, you know, Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis. Come on.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I probably would have been there with you.
That one too. That still needs to be discussed. You've got, for better or for worse, A Christmas Story. You've got Elf. You know, you've got the Chipmunks Christmas with Alvin and the Golden Harmonica. You've got a Charlie Brown Christmas we're not doing this year.
That's true.
So there's still a lot in store to come for Christmas future, if you will. The ghosts of Christmas yet to come.
Yes.
A very Brady Christmas.
Yes. Christmas future. Again, no love for Pete in that either. See?
Damn right. So, now that we've taken about 15 minutes for the shills.
As we do.
Thank you, sweetheart, for joining us on this episode. It's always fun to have somebody come and invade the dad's turf, if you will.
We haven't had a mom or significant other invade the show in a hot minute. This has been cool.
This is true. This is very true.
It's been cool. I've been digging it.
So,
might bring you back more often.
Thank you again for being here. It was a pleasure.
It was so much fun.
For the West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham, I am the Renegade JJ Williams. Thank you for joining us and tuning in. And until next time, just remember, we do these shows. Why? Because we like you.
Oh, well, okay.
See you next time.